Hello YouTube, my name is Jared Decker. Somebody recently saw one of my videos and asked about this printer in the background, the Canon Pixma Pro 100, and asked if I would do a video about how to use it. So here we go. This is my Canon Pixma Pro 100 printer. It is an awesome printer and you can get them for next to nothing on Craigslist, as Canon used to give these things away pretty much with promotions with cameras and other gear that they're selling. And a lot of people don't want to print at home, so they sell them new in the box for really cheap online. I paid like $100 for this thing and it came with 50 sheets of 13 by 19 inch paper, which is an awesome deal. So that's the deal. It prints up to 13 inches by 19 inches. I actually use Red River paper and I will put a link in the description below. And I also use Precision Colors ink, which I will also put a link for in the description below. The ink cartridges for these things are crazy expensive. They use 8 cartridges, so printing can be pretty pricey if you use Canon's OEM ink. I primarily use this printer for test prints at home when I get a shot before I put it online to sell prints. So it works phenomenal for me. It's super cheap to print, and the Precision Colors kit is great for just refilling your old cartridges and keeps prints at a decent cost. So let's dive in and we'll go over some details about how I use it on my Mac and the settings I use in Adobe Lightroom. One of the big struggles with learning this printer for me was getting the colors to come out right. I know that's a struggle for a lot of people when they're trying to print. So I'm going to go over some settings that I use in Lightroom that gets me the most accurate prints that I can get. So before we actually get into the printer on the computer and see what the settings are, if you install this thing with the Canon drivers, you're going to end up in your Mac printer preferences with 2 printers. You're going to have one for AirPrint that wirelessly prints over Mac system, and then you're going to have one under Bonjour, which is Canon's network system. In my experience, the AirPrint works awful. So go in right away, figure out which one is AirPrint and delete that printer from your profile. Otherwise, every time you print, it's going to come up with an option of 2 different Pro 100s to print from, and you don't want to get mixed up which one to use. The printing for some reason looks completely different. I don't know enough about the software and the deep in the OS to understand why, but trust me, AirPrint sucks with this printer. Use Canon's setup. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom Classic CC. The image that we're going to use today is this photo I shot a couple years ago of a sunset at Cannon Beach on the Oregon coast. The image is sideways. I know we're not really going to go into that kind of stuff in this video. As I said, this one's primarily just about color. So the settings over on this side on the left are page setup and print settings. That's for setting up your presets and setting up for borders and different size paper and stuff like that you're going to use. So the settings that we're going to use today are over on the right hand side of the screen. We're going to start with a single image as we're just printing this one picture on one piece of paper. The rest of this stuff in here isn't stuff that's relevant for this video. We'll come back to that in another video. So when we get down to the print job section, your first option is print to printer or JPEG file. We're printing, so we're going to leave that set on printer. Draft mode printing I do not use. Print resolution I leave at 300 ppi, which is just the default setting. Print sharpening I have set to standard. Media type I have set to glossy. I use luster paper, so there's a slight sheen to that, so we want that set on glossy. 16-bit output. So here's the tricky part, color management. This is where I got stuck for a really long time and wasted a lot of ink and a lot of paper. So everything I ever read about this told me to basically set my profile to the paper I'm using. I use Red River Ultra Pro Satin paper on a Canon Pro 100. So I downloaded the profile from them and tried to use that. Everything looked really weird for some reason. So I read more, I tried switching to Adobe RGB. Everything still looked really weird for some reason. And I'll show you what I ended up figuring out. So if you're in Ultra Pro Satin, or if you're in your profile and you click printer, it takes you to this screen on a Mac. So at the beginning I mentioned the AirPrint Bonjour. You will have 2 printers in this menu, as I do with my home printer, my small format printer. You don't want to use AirPrint here, so just delete that one, and the one that's left is your Canon wireless setup for your Canon printer. The big thing here, color matching. Yeah, now you'll notice that it's selected to color sync. Whenever I use color sync, my colors are way off. If somebody can inform me why this is, please do. I do not understand it. I calibrate my monitor. I just don't get it. So for that reason, I discovered that I do not want to use these profiles. If you do Adobe RGB, same thing, color matching. Color sync is selected, the options are grayed out, you do not have a choice. So what I figured out is if I just do manage by printer, it removes the option to change between perceptual and relative, which I've never really seen much of a difference there anyways. Now if you click printer, color matching, it lets you use Canon color matching. It works way better. I don't know why. So these are two. It allows you to use Canon color matching. And that is the trick for me that made my prints suddenly work and suddenly look like they do on my computer screen. So here are two pictures that I printed using color sync and color matching. Various settings on each, but pretty much every time I used color sync, the colors came out way off, way too orange. Now the picture on the right is much more like the picture looks on my screen, and that one I got by using Canon color matching. So that's the big trick for me. That's the most important setting in this. And again, if I'm doing it wrong, please tell me, but I've read countless blogs and forums about how to do this right. Now that we have color out of the way, down to the last section is print adjustment. Pretty much every time you print, it's going to come out dark. You're looking at a backlit computer screen, so the image going to your printer is significantly darker than it appears to your eyes. I do use soft proofing, and I give my image about a half of a stop boost in exposure generally before I print. But I also do the print adjustment and I bump the brightness up about +15. If it's a really bright picture, sometimes I'll bring that down to 10 or so, but it usually gets me pretty close. So that's pretty much it. From here, you click printer, you make sure color matching is set, click print, and there you go. So next time we'll dive into the page setup and the soft proofing and go over a couple other adjustments that I make when I use my Canon Pixma Pro 100. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I will do some more videos down the line of this printer with some different options with print sizes and whatnot and borders. But as far as color goes, I hope this works for you and we'll see you next time. Thank you.